I'll just do questions. Everybody's got them.
Now that you've had a couple days to go back and look at the film, what do you think the biggest challenges were offensively?
Yeah, the big thing was just lack of execution, which again was a little bit uncharacteristic of our group. We missed some pretty simple scheme things that we normally do, communication things. The environment, the noise probably had something to do with it, even though it shouldn't. You know what I mean? We were prepared. We obviously practiced with the offense indoors last week, with lots of crowd noise. But it was a lot of self-inflicted stuff, which again, we have not done that offensively. And I think that was the biggest, most disappointing thing, was just the mistakes that we made, really in a lot of ways didn't even give us an opportunity to make a play. And so that was probably the biggest frustration.
This is kind of second year in a row you talked about those self-inflicted wounds. How do you address that with?
Yeah, we got to do better, and we got to do a better job of communicating. Got to put more pressure on the guys to communicate with each other and to execute the calls. That's the biggest thing. And as I said, this year we haven't had issues with that at all. That hadn't been really something that's come up much, and so it was a little bit uncharacteristic, and certainly have to get it fixed.
What's your early impressions of Colorado so far?
A good football team. They're 2-3, but they've lost to 3 quality opponents. You know what I mean? They've you could make the argument they had a great opportunity to beat Georgia Tech, had a tremendous opportunity to beat BYU. Both those teams are ranked in the top 25. We're playing well against Houston. That game kind of got away from them a little bit on the road, but a very good football team. Lots of team speed, a lot of playmakers on both sides of the football. Another mobile quarterback. Running backs, two good running backs. Size and speed at wide receiver. Big up front. A couple of really good pass rushers, and then back end, guys that can really run. I think that's the thing that stands out, and a dynamic kick and punt returner. And so, a good football team that, like I said, is kind of on the verge of breaking through, and just haven't been able to make plays down the stretch, maybe to win a couple of games that were really close.
Sonny, 2 years ago, obviously there was a lot of unknowns with Deion.
Yeah.
What have you seen different about what he's done in Colorado in the time he's been there, and how have you seen that program develop under him?
I think, obviously year one, none of us knew, certainly going into the first game, what we were going to see. How was Shedeur and Travis Hunter going to transition from Jackson State to Colorado? I don't think anybody knew how that was going to go, and I don't know anybody knew those guys were going to be as good of players as they were. And certainly you go back in our game and you look at some of the plays Travis Hunter made in some critical situations. He did what a guy that won the Heisman Trophy is supposed to do. He kind of took over games, and certainly did that in our game. And they had those guys for 2 years, and now they're retooling a little bit. But they've got really talented players now, guys that, and they're much deeper now than they were. I think that's the biggest difference is, you look at their defensive front, they're rolling guys through, and they've got depth. Offensive line, I think, is a much better group than they've had. They just kind of keep getting better up front. And so, really, really good team. And, you can see that they're building it with depth and a lot of transfers. I think 10 of the 11 transfers of the starters on defense, are transfers. So they've got a lot of guys that have played football and have experience and have come in and kind of pick up where they left off.
Coach, when you look at the offensive line, a little bit of struggles against SCU and Arizona State last
year. Yeah.
Is it just the competition? Is it something that's not being...
Well, it's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. I think going into last week, that was a good good defensive line. We kind of figured certainly the best that we had faced. SMU was kind of a scheme thing, kind of going into that. They were going to do some things that just basically forced you to throw the ball. So coming out of that, I wish we'd have run it a little better at times, but we knew, that's why we were getting one-on-ones with Eric McAllister, and there was going to be a loaded box, and it's like anything else, you take away something to gain something. And so that was going to be a challenge just from a scheme standpoint. Last week was going to be a little more challenging from a personnel standpoint, and also, they commit to taking away the run game. And so it's going to be a little bit different every week. Sometimes we're going to be able to, run the ball 40 times, which I think is ideal for us. If we could get to that 35, 40 runs, that's where we'd like to be. But that's going to depend on really, kind of vary from week to week. And the fact that we had 5 in the second half, we didn't get a lot of plays last week. And so there's a lot of contributing factors, but we've got to run it better.
As Eric gets more healthy, I guess, how important is it going to be for Doze to kind of step up? I know he's done his career.
It's going to be important for a lot of people to step up. I mean, it's just the way it has to be in college football. And I mean, you go and you look at, again, Friday night, and you go, well, the difference in the game was probably 0-3 for Arizona State. They're starting tailback and their number 1 wide receiver. And our 2 guys were watching the game. One of them was watching from home and the other was watching from the sideline. And sometimes that's the difference in games. You know what I mean? When you have 2 really, really good players that couldn't play, that's challenging and you got to overcome it. And you have to have depth and young guys have to step up. And so that was Dozy's first extended action. I was really pleased with what he did. He didn't get a ton of opportunities, but I thought he performed well. The stage did not seem too big for him. We'll see how the week plays out, but my guess is through the season, he's going to have to continue to get better, and it's going to have to happen across the board. We knew we were playing basically 2 outside receivers almost every play, and you just can't go through a season doing that. Those guys are going to wear down physically, or they're going to get injured. And so we have to have those young players come along, and we have to be confident enough in them to put them in games and let them go make plays. And I think we all believe in Dozy, and we all trust him, and so he's going to have to go out and play at a high level, and he's certainly capable of it. And our expectations for him are very high. We think he's really talented and has a chance to be a very good football player, and he's got to do it quickly.
You talked about people stepping up, Coach, and you've been really high on Whit and Van Hoy.
Yeah.
With the issues at tackle the last couple of games.
Yeah, we're trying to get some of those young guys ready. We'll see kind of how it plays out, but we're trying to get them ready. We think that maybe they can help us. We're going to, create some competition to see.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely going to play the best guys. I mean, I don't care. That's the one thing that we're always going to do. We don't care about, playing a true freshman or replacing a guy with a young player if they're better and they're ready to play. I mean, that's one thing that we'll always do. I think as a coach, you owe it to your players and to the program to play the best people regardless of who they are or their circumstance or whatever the case may be. And so, we don't worry too much about hurting somebody's feelings or anything like that. We're going to play the best people that we think give us the best chance to go out there and play at a high level.
Coach, is there any additional, with the hype of a Deion Sanders team?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that they did do a nice job, I think, of playing excited. I think those guys, they get excited to play football. They seem like they're. I think he does a really nice job of creating a level of excitement when the players take the field, and they like playing. They're fired up to play. I think they play with a lot of emotion, and so we're going to have to not only meet but surpass their excitement to play. It's one of the things that we talk about every week. We have to be the most excited team to play, and we've got to be a team that that gets fired up, and especially when we play at home, we've got to be we've got to play with that kind of emotion.
How are Eric and Corey progressing?
Good. I think we'll kind of see through the week. Right now, if we had a game today, neither one of them would play, but I'm hopeful that if we're saying something different by the time we get to Saturday. And I'm hopeful for both of them. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, you guys had a chance to watch the film. You got off to a great start. Just from your perspective, what do you think kind of happened from that second quarter on to these Arizona State?
Yeah, it's a mentality thing. I think the environment got to a lot of guys, and we just got to be able to come together better as a group and finish game, full 60-minute game. That just the momentum swung one way, and we couldn't get it back.
Did that kind of surprise you? I mean, you guys handled so well the North Carolina game where there was a lot of hype.
Yeah, I think it was a better group up front than we had thought, and it's one of those things we just got to circle the wagons and get back to work now.
In an environment like that, in a situation like that, what kind of things can help a line regroup and pull back together?
Yeah, I mean, we just talking to everyone, just getting in each other's face, not yelling at each other, but just being like, "Hey, man, calm down, cool down." Like, things happen. It's they're always going to bring a new pressure, something we haven't seen on tape, and we just got to be able to regroup from that and figure it out and correct it for the next time they run it.
The things you guys need to correct, are they easy fixes? Is it?
Yeah, no doubt. Just little technique things that we work on every single day. But it's just you have a bad rep in a game. It looks magnified for sure.
What are you expecting from a Deion Sanders coach team?
They're going to be tough. They're going to play hard. I think Deion is a great motivator, and they're going to play hard. They got a lot of talent. They brought a lot of boys in from the SEC, and we got our work cut out for us. But this is a great opportunity for us to bounce back this week.
How do you look past the height? Is there extra height, or?
Maybe a couple of years ago. I think at this point he's been a coach for a while. I think it's just another game.
How good is their defensive front?
They got a lot of dudes. They got a lot of guys from the SEC they brought in. Big guys that look really good on paper. If we shut them down, I think we'll be able to handle them. But it's just one of those things. It's us. It's really us against us. We just got to have our own good technique and be as physical as we can.
Every time you look up, Arden Walker's kind of around the quarterback 53 for them. How does he compare to what we saw last week? Can you make sense at all?
Yeah, he's not so much of a power rusher from what I've seen. He's just straight speed, very good athlete, super twitchy guy. He's probably the best pass rusher on the edge. We're going to have our work cut out for us, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to bounce back.
What's been the message from the older guys this week about not letting this snowball into another bad game this Saturday against Colorado?
Yeah, it's just been circle the wagons. It's just get back to the basics, clean up the little techniques, and we've been slowing things down, trying to clean up little things that people were having constant mistakes with, me included. And, I think mentally we're locked in. I think we've moved on from ASU, and we're ready to roll.
How much will the home environment help?
Oh, definitely. Our home crowd is awesome, and they definitely, that atmosphere is great.
There's still a lot of football left to be played.
No doubt.
What have y'all talked about? Just saying that one loss isn't putting us out of anything.
Yeah, that game could have been changed by a couple plays, and we're sitting here 4-0. It's just how the game goes. It's we got to just move on to next week. It's the best part about football is you can wash it down and then figure out what we did wrong and move on.
Well, the defense on Friday night seemed to have its back against the wall quite often. How did you feel you guys handled that pressure in that situation throughout the night?
I think we handled it pretty well. Like, at the end of the day, we fall back on our training and we prepare for things like that in practice all the time. So we react based on how we practice out there, and I think we responded pretty well.
Your first thoughts on Colorado and how their offense looks?
Man, at the end of the day, it's whatever team we face, man. If we do our alignment assignment technique and focus on what we have to get done and we do that well, it doesn't really matter who we play. We're always focused on us.
They're pretty good, though, pass protection, right? They're good offensive line.
Yeah, they do have a good tackle from what I've heard, yeah.
It seems like the second level of your defense, Caleb, has really stepped into a bigger role this year. What have you seen from him, and how is he helping the defense right now?
He's a real leader. Like, obviously how he's leading us, how he's performing out there, it's just a product of the work that he's put in. Like, after practice, he's on the sled with us D linemen, putting in extra work. So it's like, I'm just happy for him that's finally showing up on the field. So, it's kudos to him.
Cade was talking about just washing the game away, forgetting about it. How do you feel like the team's energy's been the last couple practices since Friday?
I feel like it's been pretty good. Like, having cause, we always have the next play mentality. So it's like, whatever happens, you either clear it or park it. Clear it, forget about it, park it, forget about it for the moment, come back to it later. And I mean, we've parked it, we've came back to it later, and now we already cleared it. We're moving on.
How do you feel that you're playing through the first 4 games?
I think my performance can always be better. Like, there's always things I can work on, things that me and my coach talk about that I can improve on. But I think there's some things that I'm doing well, but at the end of the day, there's always things to improve on.
Paul, can you talk about the frustration of last year and what that was like? Was there ever a point where you thought, man, I don't know if I'm going to get back out there?
I mean, yeah, the thoughts is always going to be in the back of your head, but it's like, as an athlete, you can't give in to thoughts like that. You just have to keep pursuing. And we have a really good PT specialist, and they're always doing their job to get us back out there. So I just had to put my faith in them because there's nothing I can do. So put my faith in them, put my faith in God, and, you know, just trusting everybody around me to help me get to where I am now.
How many doctors did you see about that?
We saw quite a bit. But luckily we finally talked to one in North Carolina, and we got things figured out. So, yeah, bless the Lord to that.
Do you remember that day when you found out that, okay, we might have a solution?
Yes, there was multiple solutions, and, you know, it was kind of that roller coaster of getting your hopes up and then finding out that it didn't work and then doing all that. So, you know, when it was time for the final solution and finally got the surgery, I didn't really believe it until, like, I told the PT people, I was like, I'm not going to believe it until I'm healthy again, because that roller coaster of getting your hopes up and getting let down, I didn't want to go through that again. But now it's like, obviously I can have my hopes up because I'm back out there again. So,
How quickly after surgery did you realize, hey, this worked?
Honestly, until I started being able to run again with no issues. And being honest, it's been a very long time since I've been able to do that. So it's like, it's a blessing. Honestly, they fixed years worth of Achilles pain. So
You mentioned that doctor was in North Carolina. Did they get out to see the first game of the year?
I'm not sure if he did. I hope he did, because he did a great job with the surgery. So I hope he did. I hope he's watching right now and seeing the fruit of his labor.
You haven't had to play a lot with Zach being out there with you. You guys rotating. How much has that helped you coming back this year?
It's been tremendous. Like, it obviously takes the stress off of me a little bit, and I take the stress off of him some. So it's always nice to know that you have a backup who's capable of being out there. If that's me being the backup or him being the backup, like, we're always rotating, and we believe in each other, and we're always pushing each other. And when you have that, it's like, you know, it's always great to have that.
When did you start playing football?
So I played in middle school, and then I really played my senior year. And I'll tell you, middle school and high school football are two completely different things. I'll tell you that right now.
What got you to start back?
Well, I was playing basketball, and it was kind of frustrating where everywhere I go, people would be like, what position do you play on? And I'll be like, you know, I'm a power forward center. And they'd be like, no, in football. And I'm like, I don't play football. And it's like, the look on their face every time is kind of disappointing. So I talked to my support, and, you know, we were like, let's give it a try, see what we can do. And then after the first camp I went to before my first game, I had my offers, and I was like, oh yeah, we're rolling with this. So,
What did your family think when you said you were going to play?
you know, she was scared at first. My mom was she wasn't the biggest fan of it, just because she liked basketball more. But at the end of the day, she's always willing to support me through anything. And even now, she comes to the game, and she's happy for me. And it's just like, to have somebody who might not agree with you playing at that time, but is always there to support you, man, it's a blessing. So it's great.
What is May 19th, 2024 mean to you?
May 19th, 2024. That is a great question.
It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday. Great question. I'm not really very good with dates.
You were baptized.
When I was baptized, it was. It was. It was a great day, honestly. It was a decision that I've been holding out on for a while, if I'm being honest. I had opportunities in high school to do it, and I was just, you know, always scared to take that step. But I realized, man, you can't always be scared to take steps. You just gotta take them, have a leap of faith. And when I went down there in front of everybody and got baptized, man, it was a huge blessing to see the work that Lord has been doing in my life. So it was great.